Breaking news today. So many contradictions in Putin. Russia has started attacking Ukrainian grain silos and ports on purpose. Putin's decision to weaponize food and possibly aim to create a global food crisis demonstrates a certain degree of insanity. Russia's colonization or special military operation in Ukraine keeps throwing off expectations. Vladimir Putin and the Kremlin's lack of forethought has led to these unexpected developments. Putin's war in Ukraine is based on a fundamental paradox. Putin's desire to show that Russia is still a major power on the world stage is at odds with his actions, which continue to undermine Russia's economy and international standing, and this paradox reflects that tension. Authored by Gerald Hughes, a reader in the Department of International Politics at Aberystwyth University specializing in military history and intelligence studies. The views expressed here are those of the author and not necessarily the UK defense journals. Please review our submission guidelines if you're interested in contributing an article on this or any other topic. Russian and Ukrainian perspectives on the worth of human life are at the heart of the conflict. A recent incident on the battlefield serves to emphasize this distinction. Because of his injuries, Serhiy was separated from the rest of the Ukrainian unit. A Ukrainian drone pilot saw him in danger and acted quickly to rescue him. According to the drone operator from the 15th National Guard, every life is important to us, so they did not want to leave Serhiy. Life is not valued by Putin and the Kremlin. Russian state television broadcast an Orthodox priest's declaration that Russian forces came to war not to kill but to die, as a form of sacrifice while Serhiy was being rescued. The importance the Russian government attaches to the lives of its citizens is reflected in statements like this one. Since Putin's war with Ukraine has made life much more difficult for virtually all Russians, this reflects Putin's paradox. Putin's withdrawal from the United Nations mediated grain export arrangement is further evidence that the Kremlin does not value human life. This is yet another seemingly contradictory choice. Russia, on the one hand, has started attacking Ukrainian grain silos and other export facilities. This is civilian infrastructure, and it's especially important because it facilitates global food trade and helps feed some of the world's most marginalized people. Putin's decision to weaponize food suggests he may be planning to provoke a worldwide food shortage, which would be the height of madness. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky warned that Russia is fighting for a global catastrophe on the 2nd of August. They can't stop being insane until the global food supply chain breaks, prices skyrocket, and supplies dry up. However, research into which nations gain the most from the Black Sea grain deal is essential. China is the surprising answer. Ukraine sent China 7.9 million tons of grain as part of the Black Sea Initiative's grain exports. With Putin's decision to block grain exports from Ukraine to China, the special relationship between these two countries is called into question. Russia continues to be marginalized internationally as a result of Putin's war in Ukraine. Putin is attempting to combat this estrangement by reaching out to potential allies. His plan is to have Russia ready to provide Burkina Faso, Zimbabwe, Mali, Somalia, the Central African Republic, and Eritrea with 25 to 50,000 tons of free grain each in the next 3 to 4 months. Putin's offer of 150,000 to 300,000 metric tons of grain is insufficient to make up for the 750,000 metric tons of Ukrainian grain that the World Food Programme, WFP, bought and promptly sent to countries like Ethiopia, Kenya, Somalia, and Sudan. The World Food Programme, WFP, is the largest humanitarian organization in the world that is not governed by any one country. Putin's paradoxes appear to be excessive. This includes his declaration that a multipolar international order is emerging and that neo-colonialism is dead. Putin says he is against using power and influence to subjugate other countries, but he offers free food to some of them. Of course, there are always conditions attached to free food. It's clear that Putin not only supports but engages in neocolonialism. The rhetoric Putin has been using about his new multipolar world should be taken with a grain of salt. Putin's idealized future world is strikingly similar to George Orwell's Animal Farm, in which all nations are equal except Russia. In a truly multipolar world, international organizations like the United Nations would be given greater weight than those of any individual country. We need to move away from the current system, in which one country seeks to dominate international affairs, and toward one in which powerful supranational organizations work to ensure that all people on Earth are treated fairly. This is, of course, an idealistic fantasy. The reality is that rival politicians and countries will continue to fight it out, and that will only lead to more problems for everyone.